Alright guys, hey, welcome back to another episode of the Idiot Side Quest. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Leah.
And we're going to be talking this week about something that I have a little bit more of a personal take in. It's about streaming, Twitch, and kind of just what streaming is going into the future of entertainment. And how, like, you kind of have to, as an entertainer or as a company, change how you're going to be tackling a lot of these issues going forward. So do you have any questions or things you want to say here at the beginning?
I don't know a lot about streaming. I occasionally watch your stream, and I watch Shroud because I wish I was playing World of Warcraft, and I'm not. And that's about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so...
And live concerts. Which
I personally have been streaming for about 2.5 years at this point on Twitch. Mostly, just kind of as a really fun hobby. I've been doing it full time for the past year or so, and it's definitely been not a sustainable level, but it's been enough to keep me going. And I've been able to do it full time for about a year, so I've learned a lot about the platform in that time, and I just kind of have some hot takes and then also some observations about what it entails going forward. So for those of you who don't know much about streaming or Twitch or Mixer and all those streaming giants, it's essentially just any sort of live streaming. Primarily, I focus on video games, and a lot of people do focus on video games as their form of content, but it can go anywhere from social eating streams, in which anytime you sit down to have your dinner, you just sit down and it's like having dinner with a whole bunch of other people and you just chat and hang out. The major difference between live streaming and a medium such as YouTube is that YouTube is highly edited, usually filtered and constructed content that has an exact purpose and can usually be condensed down to about a 10 to 20 minute video is usually the hot spot that you find most videos nowadays, some even upwards to an hour, but a majority are 10 to 20 minutes, and that compiles just hours of footage and really clean cuts and editing techniques that just kind of come together for a nice compressed absorbable content package. Live streaming is kind of the opposite of that. You kind of have to just be present. It is non-edited footage of you and about a 2-second delay and the rest of the world. And so there's ways to kind of edit it, small stingers, transitions. Some people have software such as Face Rig, in which they're able to superimpose maybe a different character of themselves, in which they kind of control with either just their webcam or any sort of other capture device. But for the most part, there's no editing there. It's just you and a live chat in which anyone can come through. Sometimes as a streamer, you are able to set parameters all right, maybe if they're following me, they're able to chat. A lot of people, though, just have it unfiltered and usually use either yourself if you're a smaller streamer or a mod team, in which they kind of also help you filter the chat. They moderate. They make sure that conversation is supposed to be flowing and going the direction that you want it to be going. So that's kind of just the basics on streaming itself. Now, the things I kind of wanted to talk about when it comes to streaming is where, does it have a future? Is it just a fashion that's a little fad that's happening right now? Is it going to stay? Is it going to be going? I know a lot of people didn't think it was going to be staying around very long, but then again, a lot of people thought YouTube was just a crazy fad, and look at it now. It is a huge billion-dollar company. And even Twitch itself a couple of years ago was bought out by Amazon for, I believe it was $98 million. So that's pretty respectable. It's a good amount of money. Feel free to correct me on that number, though, if I am incorrect. Yeah, so that's kind of the difference between the two mediums, but going forward, it's kind of evolved into something that isn't quite just about a person and their chat. The biggest thing that keeps, notice larger Twitch streamers that sets them apart from smaller is they usually have formed a sense of community. And while I would almost equate it to usually on a YouTube channel has a direction that it is taking with its content. Whether it's a series of videos that all have a familiar theme or a structure in which they are all kind of wrapped in the same package, or they're on the same subject. Say maybe it's live photography, and all this person talks about in all their videos is different things about live photography or different live photography things that they've done. It's kind of similar with the Twitch stream, in which usually you're going to be doing the exact same kind of content, and your community is going to come around and form a community around that content with you. And especially with multiplayer video games being as big as they are, a lot of people actually go to Twitch and they try to find like people to play with. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons people are attracted to these platforms.
Yeah.
As it's getting bigger and bigger, I think one of the biggest things that was kind of seen as a crossover, even though it really wasn't, but a event that a lot of people know about is, at the time, Twitch streamer Ninja played video games with big rap sensation Drake. And to a lot of people, that like, it kind of like broke their...
It?
Yeah, it broke their minds a little. It blew their minds because they saw someone that they thought was just a musician who didn't do anything except music playing a video game. And not only doing that, but like live streaming it and having fun with other people on that live platform. And it kind of opened a lot of people up to the concept that it's okay to play video games. It was kind of... It kind of made video games cool, slightly. Cooler than they had been, you know, because, I mean, it's video games. A lot of people have their preconceptions about it. And so for a little bit of time there, I noticed that it opened a lot of people's minds to be like, okay, this isn't just a thing for nerds. This is actually kind of cool. And then that's when we kind of saw Fortnite go from like pretty big to like really big. Like Fortnite exploded. And I would like to attribute it wildly to that. Because I think a lot of people were still playing the game. They just weren't telling anybody. And it wasn't like a conversation topic like it is now. I mean, you could say anyone, you play a video game and chances are they're going to ask if you play Fortnite. And that was kind of due to Drake playing a video game on a live stream.
I mean, obviously, I'm not in the streaming space, but I feel like it's more so Ninja than it is Drake. Like, I think so, like... having Drake come on, I feel like more so than it like humanizing Drake or anything like that, which it probably definitely did for some people. But like, I think more so because it's stupid, but you know, having a classic media star, like whether it's like radio or TV or whatever, doing a live stream, quote unquote, legitimizes it for like companies and investors and stuff like that, which is stupid, but I feel like that's what that move made. And I feel like Fortnite getting big is mostly due to Ninja just himself, which I don't like Fortnite, but whatever. That's, I mean,
I don't play Fortnite either. The biggest thing that I noticed though is it definitely brought it into the conversation. And honestly too, I mean, it's not just that event that helped it. Fortnite's constantly been a game that I myself have constantly been, I wish I enjoyed this game because the company that makes the game, they just do so much cool things with it. And their marketing department is insane. The things they do to market it, especially lately, where for about 48 hours, there was hundreds of thousands of people just watching a black hole. That's it. The game was taken down for its big update that was coming out. And the way they did it is they just took all of the game servers down. Doesn't matter if you were on computer, console,
mobile app.
It was all just a big ol' hole in the void of space. For 2 days. It was wild. But it got a lot of talking points and things like that around it. But we definitely started to see that more than anything, I think it did help Drake, it helped Ninja, and it helped Fortnite. But more than anything, I think it helped people realize that Twitch streaming not only is a form of entertainment, it can be used kind of as a promotional tool for a lot of companies. Because like beforehand, you still had like companies that were starting to like look at Twitch and be like, all right, we want our broadcasters to have access to these games. And usually it was just in like the form of like keys so they could play their game and maybe some contracted money. Like there's always been like bounty boards and stuff like that for, hey, if you get this many views, like we're paying you this CPM. Classic advertiser stuff, promotional streams.
Also, I don't think I've ever talked about Katy Perry as much as I fucking have on this goddamn podcast. But wasn't it like a year ago where she had like an album come out? I don't think it was on Twitch. I think it was on YouTube's live streaming platform or whatever the fuck they do. I don't know. Where she was just like live for a week to like promote her album. Wasn't that a thing?
I have no idea. Maybe it was. That's outside of my frame of reference.
Who knows? Maybe it was just a bad fever dream. Katy Perry, get out of my head. Let me be free.
Is math related to science?
Is math related to science? Is Katy Perry taking over my goddamn body? I'm terrified.
It could be potential. It could be potentially happening. But kind of going back into Fortnite, that's when you started to see a lot more events. And I think a big one that, like, you started to see Fortnite events pop up at, like, live events. Like, I know Ninja would sometimes stream from, like, music festivals or maybe a football game backstage, things like that, where it was almost kind of like promoting via Ninja these sporting events or these, you know, these live shows that were happening. And then it kind of went the other way around when Marshmello had a like 2 or 3 song concert within the game. It was like he dropped into Pleasant Park and there was a stage set up and there was this whole like concert with a lighting show. It changed the gravity in the game. It was wild. I just still like when I just watched it after the fact, I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like the weirdest crossover, but that's like also like good on Fortnite because they, you know, have to program all these things to happen inside of their game. But it definitely was also really big, I think, for like Marshmello became very suddenly known like for this kind of collaboration work with a lot of people that maybe didn't know him. I mean, I know he was really big already, but it brought a whole new listener base from the people that were playing Fortnite at the time and like really enjoyed the music. And even I checked him out. I never really listened to Marshmello's music before this Fortnite concert thing. And to me, I suddenly was thinking about it. And then I've just noticed like a lot lately, like Death Stranding just came out and I know Bring Me the Horizon did some gameplay via their Twitch page. And there's just a lot of different performers and classic media people that have been using Twitch either for quick talk shows or interviews or just, you know, releasing like an album or personal content, things like that.
Well, I feel like you probably know this, but you didn't mention it. So I'm going to mention it as the fucking...
For sure. Go for it.
I am. But fucking Porter had his second Sky, Porter Robinson. Sorry, I should probably clarify. Much respect to you, man. But he had his Second Sky festival completely live streamed on Twitch. I don't know if you know that or not.
I did not.
I've watched it many times.
Well, see, that's the nice thing, too, is a lot of these live streams, I mean, half the value is being there live and, like, being there with people because it's, like, an event that you actually have to sit there and attend, like, via your computer or whatever streaming device you're using, even if it's, like, your phone. But also the videos do get saved and you can re-experience them, so it's kind of...
pretty fucking great.
Yeah, you get to be a part of something and not have to worry about, can I not watch this or go through this, like, feeling I'm having right now again later. Because it's right there. It's in a VOD that you can rewatch. Here it is now. It's becoming this like larger thing in which, you know, Amazon's been slowly working on Twitch. And I know Mixer has been acquiring Twitch streamers to try and blow up their platform. So it honestly shows that companies like Amazon and Microsoft and even YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's tried, but like YouTube's kind of been in the back burner, except apparently they just hired on Courage, I think, which is another Fortnite streamer, but they brought him over to solely YouTube. But they show, you know, a interest, like they're investing in these mediums because they see that it does have a beneficial future financially for them. Take it away, say something.
All right, I will say all of the things with all of my knowledge about Twitch.
What are your thoughts on just streaming as a whole? I
mean, I really like streaming. I think my biggest issue with it is because like I genuinely enjoy it. I like watching the content, but for me as a person who has a job to get to at 5:30 in the morning, I'm never able to watch it live. Never able to watch it live. I just don't have the time for it, and if I do, I can only get a little bit of it. But I mean, I like it. I think that Twitch should definitely implement like not only because it's so conflicting because obviously the main draw to Twitch is like the conversation that you get to have with the creator or for the creator to have conversation with the people that is watching them. But for the people that can't make it to the stream, it's like, damn it, I missed out.
That's definitely the big thing that kind of comes with it because like I said, like YouTube is content that can be packaged down and consumed within that like 10-minute like interval. And if you're someone insane like Leah here who watches all her fucking videos at 1.5 times speed, you can really start cranking through that content. Woo. But there definitely is a strain both from the streamer themselves, because they have to be, present and live. And especially for the people that do it full time and they're maybe doing, 6 days a week for 10 hours a day. I mean, you have to be there. It's like a job.
Oh, it is a job.
I mean, it is a job, but it's like a job with a lot less breaks, and there's like no like breathing space. Whereas like if you're doing YouTube content, you can record for like maybe, 30 minutes here and there, and then splice all your footage together and have a video out by tomorrow, but it's not something that needs to solely be there. So since these streamers have to be there and present, that also kind of correlates in on the viewer as well does need to usually have this time planned out, which is why most of the time the streamers have a strict schedule that they try to stick to, because it becomes kind of like, like your Friday morning television or something that you look forward to. It's got a scheduled time, just like any TV show, except it's, from this live streaming platform. So when to be there, be present, because just like the streamer needs to be there, so do the viewers.
See, I know, and I just can't make it work for me.
Just can't make it.
I can't make it work for me.
Well, I know too. It's like, I find that a lot of viewers on the platform are also like, they're really young. So they're either in school and not paying attention to class, or they're, holding really boring office jobs that are able to goof off. Like you do some tasks here and there, and then, maybe wait for a phone call and stuff. Cause there's a lot of viewers out there that usually are, at work and able to like kind of juggle it a little bit while they're doing their work. Whether it's just as background noise to like listen to while they're doing their work, or to, have enough energy to actually interact with the stream while they're there. But I know that this kind of, because of the time demand of these
streamers and creators.
The people that make these, shows, is that there is a lot of isolationism that kind of comes with that. And I think Dan's Game is one of the people that actually came forward and talked pretty intensively about it recently, about how, yes, he's formed a fan base and he's been doing what he loves, but at the same time, there is, you get kind of like lonely. It's, you have to be there. And when you're there, you can't go out and hang out with friends and stuff like that. You can't go out and do these things that you want to do, or maybe take these trips. Cause even when around convention time, like for TwitchCon, it's constant conversation that a lot of streamers that leave to go to these conventions, even if it's just 2 days, they miss like maybe 2 streams, they'll see like huge, like 20% drops in like sub count. And when that's your revenue source, that's like 20% of your income is gone, just like right there. And you slowly earn it back, but it's like every time you do take a day off, you are penalized pretty heavily for doing so.
And then also, like, I feel like being a streamer is just so demanding. Obviously, like, not to discredit, like, the smaller streamers or anything like that, but, like, if you're big on a scale of, like, Ninja or Shroud or other people, because I'm not super involved with the community, I'm sorry. But, like, not only do they have the time that they need to take to stream, which, like, I've seen Shroud do, like, 10 hours. And
easy.
Like, easy. Yeah. Like, just playing games for 10 hours. And then on top of that, like, he has to manage his social media, because that's a factor of his income. Like, people follow him on other platforms. That's still a facet of his job. And then on top of that, you've got your, like, companies that you're affiliated with or sponsored by, and you need to keep up relations with that. And you need to either do photo shoots or events or show up for that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's a lot to juggle for one person.
It is. And I know that some of the larger streamers, especially probably Ninja, and I know Tim the Tapman talks constantly about it, but they do have, at certain levels, you have a manager that handles a lot of that stuff with you. And it's kind of like a musical artist. They have an artist manager that's going to take care of, hey, this is where you need to be at this time, or here's who you're talking to. Here are the companies interested in you.
But
not a lot of people do that.
Planning the time to take it, like just having to do all of that.
Yeah,
like,
just be there. You like, still have to do it.
It's exhausting, it sounds like.
It is. And the kind of the payoff is you're doing something that you love, but it is work. And a lot of people just see, hey, look at streamer person just playing this game, and they don't have to actually work hard. They're playing video games for a living. But people really don't like think about a lot of the stuff that goes into this.
Yeah. A job's a job, no matter what kind of job it is.
It is. But kind of going forward and out of that, something I kind of wanted to bring up was just like streaming streaming's future, like where is it going? So for me, I see that this is going to continue to be happening, and you find that ever since there's constantly companies and software and hardware that's just getting better, and it's easier for everybody to become a streamer themselves. And most of the time, I mean, not everyone's going to blow up to be these huge artists, but a lot of people sometimes, I mean, a lot of people just want to stream, not even for the income or anything, just because it's like, hey, I like playing video games, and it's kind of like hanging out with a bunch of friends.
Yeah. And like, I mean, obviously it's not the same. It's not live, but that's kind of how it is for the podcast for me. Like, this is like a creative outlet. It's something fun for me to do. I'm not huge. I don't expect to get huge or anything like that, but it's fun. Exactly.
And sometimes you don't even going into the future of streaming. I see that it's a lot of people are doing it not only because it's kind of like playing with your friends. And sometimes it's like, I remember strictly when I was growing up, there was quite a few times where, and it felt really weird at the time, and I constantly got criticized by like my parents. But I would have friends that wanted me to come over because I was really good at games, and they just like to watch, you know. To my parents, that just like blew their mind. They're like, you should let them play. And I'm like, they don't want to play. Yeah, that's why they asked me to come over, you know?
That's like what we were doing last night with Death Stranding, which granted, I do plan on playing it after we finish recording. But like, I just wanted to fucking watch the game, and you're so much better at video games than I am. And that's so beautiful. And I love that video game so much. We've only gotten like 10 hours in.
Yeah, it's kind of like that scenario. But for like everyone, I mean, it's just kind of, hey, even if it's just a couple of people hanging out and talking, I mean, you're hanging out and playing a game, and it's a lot of people do it like as a pastime, like right after work. Like, for me, I used to do it when I was working overnights. I would do it right as I woke up in the afternoon, because I would wake up at 3, be live by 3:30, and stream all the way till 8:30, in which I would go get dinner and then head to work until like 6 in the morning, and then go to sleep for 6 hours and repeat that process. And I did that for months. But like for me, it was like, hey, I get to go hang out with my friends online, and we get to talk about video games and hang out and have fun. It's a lot of fun to hang out and just talk about games and things you enjoy. There's also kind of this trend as we move forward in technology, and it's something I noticed a lot while I was visiting Japan over the summer. But you know, it's been criticized by filmmakers. I mean, a lot of people have kind of had the small social commentary that everyone's always looking down at their phone. Like, it was really extremified when I was in Japan. You could be in a subway full of hundreds of people. No one would be conversing. No one's talking to each other. No one's looking at each other. Everyone's in their own little, like, small pod, consuming, like, their own media or just, like, living their own life, but not connecting with anyone around them. And I know that's been, like, put into, like, short films, or, like, you know, it's been kind of, like, a commentary that's been going on with a lot of people. And it's kind of, I feel like streaming almost enforces that idea of hanging out with people without having to leave your space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like kind of the removal of hanging out in person, because I mean, sure, a lot of people still want to hang out in person, but it's becoming something that, one, life is getting busier and busier as, you know, time progresses forward, and time gets like spread more and more thin, into where it's like, you know, that just kind of becomes your medium of hanging out with friends and staying connected with them, or staying connected with your communities. And I can't help but wonder if that's also going to be extremified as we move forward into the future. What do you think?
I mean, to quote you, literally an hour ago when we got food, was, unless you make content with me or you stream and play games with me, I don't talk to you.
I live in my own bubble, man. I'm busy all the time, man.
I feel that.
At least slightly. Trying to get better about it, but seeing real world people, that's like, whoa.
I like being a hermit, but maybe that's not the right stance to have. Maybe we shouldn't be the people talking about this, because we're both like very introverted, like staying in our house.
There's an enjoyment to it, but there's like also a limit to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's you gotta balance, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a certain amount of loneliness that kind of like starts to set in, and I find it interesting that, like Leah brought up, we've been playing through Death Stranding for the past 24 hours, and then probably after the recording of this podcast going to continue going into it.
Most
and
definitely. I'm not leaving until we play.
Definitely look forward to a Death Stranding episode in which that's all we talk about. But kind of an idea, because of the events that happen in the game, without going like into any like too much details.
For spoilers. A
lot of people have been like kind of killed, and a lot of people have kind of been forced underground, and the only way they actually can communicate and connect with anyone is via what is called the chiral network. And it's kind of like the internet in a weird way, a weird hologram time shifty way. But
that's
I
how
couldn't help but
communicate.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think like of just kind of the cross of that being a streamer thing, and also
being relevant to the game.
Yeah, but also it's like that's kind of like the future of isolationism as like society as a whole. And then also there's ways that are kind of like being formed around it with things like VR kind of picking up. It's still a long way from like mainstream adaptation, but I personally picked up a headset recently and I love it.
I'm terrified of it.
You are terrified of it. But I also find that it's like things to like VR chat, just being like in a room with someone who's like not really there, but they're there, because like VR kind of like it mixes perception on a lot of things really quickly.
It's weird.
Once you sink into it, it doesn't take long, but you really do kind of get transported to this place that isn't really there. And it's like when you're in, say, like a VR chat or something like that, there is that connection of talking to someone that's there, but it's not
there. It's
yeah, it's like the only thing that's missing, honestly, is, you know, their actual physical appearance and the ability to actually touch said person. But you can actually, like, I mean, the models, I mean, it's weird to like talk about the perception of a virtual self unless you've tried VR, because the first time you stand next to something as tall as you in VR, it's weird. It's really like strange, but really cool, but really strange. And so as that starts to adapt and get more advanced and go in the future, I can't help but like, you know, there's a piece of me that is okay with that isolated future, but also, you know, it's there. And I feel like it's semi inevitable.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, for me, it's like it is isolating in a physical way. Because obviously, like, I don't know, I'm sure there's some like bullshit statistic being like, you need to have X amount of hugs a day to like be happy in your life, or some bullshit like that. So like, it's not like the physical contact or anything like that, but like you can constantly talk to people and be with friends and have conversations and stuff like that wherever you are, pretty much. Yeah.
And I mean, I know that to bring up Death Stranding, it's somewhat pseudoscience, but also psychology it's not something I know a lot about, but all I know is that the human mind and spirit and all that stuff is really weird. It is. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but it's really sensitive to non-natural like changes in environment and things like that. And something that people develop when they're isolated too long in the game is like agoraphobia, and like the fear of being outside in that environment, or the fear of being touched, and just like these small phobias that start to arise. And I mean, it's pseudoscience. It is. But there is, I mean, kind of.
Are you telling me my baby's not real? How dare you?
Your bridge baby's okay.
My baby? I'm so sorry. I'll stop being obnoxious now. Maybe.
Probably not. But I when I look at that future and I kind of like look at it kind of like streaming, I don't know. I see streaming as definitely something that it's the start of something definitely new. But I wouldn't be too surprised if you started to see, as virtual reality starts to take the main stage, a lot of that being a new form of content that we haven't quite fully imagined yet. Like, I mean, yeah, there's some virtual reality streaming out there and stuff like that. And like I brought up, VR chat is, you know, it's pretty popular for streamers to be in there and also to connect to their community in that way, because it's no longer just a chat room you're in there with them and their virtual avatars. And so it kind of starts to bridge that gap. But as the technology gets a little bit better and more advanced, I can't help but like feel like that's definitely the direction we're going. And especially as quantum computing is starting to take some forefront with like Google making their quantum computer and eventually the application of that quantum computing into AI systems, a lot more stuff is going to be automated, and a lot of, it kind of does take a lot of people's jobs. And eventually in the weird dystopian future that I don't think is honestly that far away, there's not going to be a whole lot for people to do. Like, there's still going to be jobs. There'll be different jobs. But I think a lot of people are going to kind of get that Wall-E free time in which, there's AI just making things flow, making things advanced further, and you're just kind of there.
Just chilling. Honestly, like, this will probably change, like, depending on the day that you ask me. But, like, I'm fucking ready for the day where I can just, like, hop in VR. Like, not so much what's going on now. Like, not to knock it at all. It's revolutionary, but
Talking
it's
like deep dive VR.
Yeah. Like, I'm ready to
Avataring.
Yes. Like, I want to just hike, like Breath of the Wild, but, like, I'm there. Like, that's what I want. Like, I just want to be a fucking wizard.
I honestly wouldn't be too surprised if within our lifetime we see the start of deep dive.
Yeah, like Ready Player One, or like freaking Sword Art Online, stuff like that. Like, I want to go to there. I
wouldn't be too surprised. But kind of like bringing it semi back into streaming. I mean, that was kind of like a long, like weird dystopian tangent. But I feel like it definitely needed to be addressed because I can't help but find a lot of people that like stream and watch. It's both sides. Both people tend to generally be very like, they have a lot of spare time, and a lot of the people that create and a lot of people that consume are like kind of isolated, and that is their form of contact with other people, is hanging out in these Twitch chats and, talking to each other and meeting communities, and then eventually, of course, meeting in person. But people are forming bonds, and I know I've got really good bonds with a lot of the people that hang out in my chat a lot of the time, and it's like, they're like really good, close friends, even like people I've never seen or met before, but those connections have been made, and they kind of do fulfill that role of, bonding with other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to like segue into the next topic.
Just hard cut.
Here we go. All right. But segueing into something a little bit more on the promotional side of things, and this kind of starts to bring back in the talk of virtual reality. So I went to college for music business, and we had to do a few different projects back in the day. That's like, say you're working at a record company and looking towards the future of records, because record sales are going down. Things like Spotify and streaming, different type of streaming, of course, but music streaming, Netflix, things like that are becoming just like mainstays of the household, and something that is very much in the forefront of a lot of these record companies' minds. Like, what are your ideas for like revolutionizing the future of the music business? And one of the things that actually one of my groups ended up talking about was virtual reality and how it's going to pertain to the future of live concerts. Because, I mean, I love going to live shows and stuff like that. It's not always the most feasible. And so kind of like that feeling of, is there a way to place yourself at these concerts, via virtual reality? And that was actually something that we brought up, live streaming virtual concerts, and how it's probably going to happen. And then lo and behold, I mean, it was only like 2 years later, but I know Lindsay Sterling just recorded herself in virtual reality with, I think it was Wave VR, I think is their name. It's Wave something. But she recorded her Artemis concert in VR with her own like avatar that she drove and recorded through. And you can like be at that concert and witness the whole thing via a virtual reality environment. And that was more on the like completely virtual, like a Beat Saber, like everything's digitized, like even the avatars and things like that. But I can't help but wonder how long it's going to be, or if it's already happened, if you just need to put a 360 camera in a really good seat at a show and just record it. And honestly, you can do some of the audio mixing from the show sync it up to the video footage, and there you go. You've got a seat at a live concert, and you could even be surrounded by the people that were there at the show. You'd have to disclose, like this is a filming for this VR concert, but people do it all the time. I mean, you see CMT concert recordings. I've been in the audience, stuff like that. A lot of times when you see concerts for like the CMT Awards and CMAs and any sort of, MTV Music Awards, all those shows, everyone knows that they are being recorded. And a lot of times it doesn't happen on the first take. You're sitting there listening to the same song 7 different times because something was a little bit off, or they want to tweak the audio, or they want to have just different cuts from different cameras at different angles that they can splice together later. And you won't really have to worry about those different cuts and things like that. If all you're worrying about is just a stationary VR spot, all you really need is, a good, clean audio, like feed through. And honestly, you probably, depending on the group of people, you might not even need that. I'd say it's like a metal show. You don't care. You just want to be like hyped up, standing in your living room with the VR headset on, rocking out, If
they're going to a metal show, I 110% want somebody to like have that like 360 camera just like mounted on their head on like a freaking helmet.
Oh God,
and
no.
then just like mosh.
That would give you so much motion sickness.
Oh, it would.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's funny though.
But like say like you could like put yourself, like you could say move me to the middle of the mosh pit, and then you could stand in the mosh pit and just like sit there and start swinging your arms around and act like you're there. I mean, and that could be a live thing too. Like a lot of these concerts, you could do that streamed live to like say, I mean, Twitch doesn't support things like that, but I would not be surprised if there's a company or one of these companies starts to integrate live streaming of VR 360 footage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
'Cause, I mean, all you need are binaural like
yes
microphones mounted to a 360 camera, and there you go. It's capturing like 360 sound around you, and you're there with free 360 like viewership. I know they post, it's not far-fetched from like recording a 360 video and just live streaming said 360. The biggest thing that it's going to take is a lot of bandwidth, like a lot of data needs to push through, because you're not just pushing through one 1080p image, which in itself is already pretty taxing on most people's hardware. And most internet companies probably wouldn't like have the capability, or wouldn't allow their customers the upload capabilities to like publish 360 videos.
Yeah.
You would have to be,
especially
a larger
conglomerate
company.
Concert.
Yeah.
That would be hell.
But I would not be surprised if that's the future of streaming. Like to me, streaming, it's going to be a lot more integrated with old forms of entertainment, because like for now it's still huge in the gaming industry and it's a large mainstay of it, but like streaming, I know Twitch does Thursday Night Football and stuff like that. Like NFL is now something that gets streamed to these streaming websites and things like that. It's hecky brain.
Words hard.
But no, a more mainstay, like say traditional television getting streamed, concerts getting streamed. Like you said, Porter Robinson, he streamed his entire concert and things like that. So
entire festival. It was like 2 or 3 days, motherfucker. It was great. Yeah,
so like that entire festival getting streamed. I mean, it's like we're already starting to bridge the gap. So like taking the next step further, I can't help but think that like 360 VR streaming is potentially, on the table. It's on the table as being like the next big step in entertainment.
Also, I don't know why this is my brain thinking this. This is more a VR thing and not a streaming thing. But like, could you imagine like a show getting filmed with a 360 camera and like you having like the option to be in the place of like the main character and experiencing that way? That would be kind of cool. It would be kind of fun.
Wasn't there a movie recently that was filmed like that though, kind of?
Are you thinking of Bandersnatch, where it's like choose your own story?
Not Bandersnatch. There was like a movie, I don't think it was filmed in VR, but it was filmed entirely from like a first person perspective.
Oh yes, Hardcore Henry, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to see it. I never got to.
I never saw it, but I heard it was like a little motion sicky if you saw it, but also like a neat concept. But I would say like it'll be hard for traditional media to like film shows like that, but I think for like digital showmakers, it could be possible. The biggest problem that kind of arises in one of those scenarios is a lot of these traditional, like over time, like filmmaking techniques are all in like how you frame your shots, how you light them, and how you position people. Dream
of being a person in a TV show.
I know. I mean, but I think it's like that's kind of been like the trouble. But I think a lot of these VR video games are kind of getting those pieces right.
Mm-hmm.
And like even with like Death Stranding, of course, is full of its cutscenes. But even in between the cutscenes, you yourself are in control. But it's like no matter where you look, you're still getting that almost cinematic information.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it would kind of be a similar method of making entertainment.
Yeah.
So I think it would have to be probably digital. But I mean, in today's day age, like, I mean, of course, it takes a lot of time right now. But I mean, any TV show that you make and put out there for VR viewing would probably take the same amount of time. But it's like you can make virtual places look photorealistic.
Yeah, true.
Like the tech is there. The rendering is just insane.
Also, so I don't know how to segue into this because my brain has a question.
Deal. Let's go.
If you're good on going off topic.
Yep. No, I've been rambling for a long time. Let's get into a little bit of the conversation on it.
So I think Twitch does not do this, but obviously there are other sites that do. But like pornography. Mm-hmm. Streaming is a thing.
Yep, cam girls and things like that. Yeah,
and then also like mukbang. Like what can't you stream? Twitch doesn't want you to stream sleeping. I know that.
They don't want to, but sometimes it happens anyway.
It'd be like that sometimes.
What can't you stream?
Yeah.
I mean, legally.
Okay, touche.
Because, I mean, the dark web is full of, like, bad shit anyway.
I don't want to talk about the dark web.
Yeah, that's a whole box.
We're talking about happy, consensual, legal things to do.
Okay. I mean, you can stream pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Also, I think this might just be the fact that I have a lot of tattoos, and maybe I'm just fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be cool to, like, have a tattoo artist stream, like...
He does.
Oh.
Kappa Tattoos.
Oh, shit.
He's a Twitch partner.
He stole my idea.
There it is. Yeah, no, there's limits to what you can put on Twitch, of course. I mean, as far as, like, where you're tattooing and things like that. But no, I mean, there's some people that do actual, like, tattoos live streaming. I think Kappa Tattoos is the name of the guy that does it. I mean, you could correct me on that maybe in post and put it up there if I'm wrong, but...
We'll find out.
No, I believe there are some people out there that, they tattoo and they stream and like pretty much anything you can imagine. Like there's people that just go on freaking nature adventures, like kayaking down a fucking river, and they stream the whole damn thing. People stream themselves fishing. There's a guy who hitchhiked all the way from the East Coast all the way to TwitchCon on the West Coast, and it took him like 30 something days.
That's really,
and he streamed
cool.
the entire fucking thing.
But like, how would you do that? Like, are you able to like live stream from your phone? I'm sorry. Like, okay, cool. Sorry, I mean,
you can. I mean, a lot of people too when they do IRL streaming, like say, like I'll throw Andy Melanakis out there because it's a recognizable name. A lot of these people have like streaming backpacks, and so you'll have like maybe like a GoPro. Which is linked into like a mini computer that encodes everything, because encoding is pretty CPU heavy. It takes a lot of processing power. And so your phone, if you're ever streaming from there, it can stream like decently well, but not like insanely good. But I mean, pretty good quality. But usually they have like a backpack that's kind of full of some more like computer hardware and maybe like something for like a small microphone to attach to for some better audio quality, things like that.
Yeah.
And then it's all attached to like a SIM card that goes out to a cell phone tower, and it's legit, man. It's legit. No, you can stream anything. Yeah. As long as you have any sort of like cell phone signal, you can stream it.
Hell yeah. I don't know where to go now.
Yeah, no, streaming's like everywhere. If you can think of doing it, there's people streaming it. And like you said, I mean, even if it's like explicit stuff, there's websites for that. It's not going to be Twitch and Mixer and all them, but
well, I get why they don't want that kind of content on their website, but like, just Agegate it? Question mark?
I mean, see, that's kind of the debate that happens, you know, and it's like, you can say like, hey, the stream is signaled for like mature audiences, like 18 plus. I mean, you still can't show 18 plus content, but I mean, that's usually like, if you're saying swear words every other word and swear like an excessive amount, or like go into really gruesome video games as like your mainstay, then maybe throw that gate on there and it'll stop someone to say like, hey, you have to click OK. And then, you know, but I mean, it's just like, I mean, no matter what, I mean, it's more so on the person. It's kind of that moral dilemma of, because it's like, kind of on the person clicking on, not the person making the content.
I would agree.
But constantly, it is kind of thrown on the person making the content, not the clicker on. But it's like, I mean, it's the like, internet, man.
I mean,
everyone's got access to everything.
It's stupid to deny that, you know, like cam girls or cam guys or whatever you want to call them. It's stupid to deny that that's like a, It's stupid to deny the fact that like that's a legitimate form of income and form of entertainment. Like people can consume it. Like it's a thing. And like, not only do people like degrade that, I don't know why I didn't plan on this going in this direction, but this is apparently what my brain wants to talk about.
Well,
but
we
like,
can take it the less extreme version too, of just people on Twitch constantly talking about the titty streamers that take all the views because they wear a low cut shirt and, you know, take up a large section of the screen. But I think kind of the direction you're taking that is they have a space on the platform for people that are solely looking for that entertainment. And it's like, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But there's a lot of people that do want to watch it and they should be allowed to watch it.
Yeah. And like, I mean, it's stupid to deny the fact that it's a legitimate thing that people will spend money on and take the time to watch. And like, I mean, I feel like they're missing out. I mean, granted, obviously, they probably just don't want to get into the legality of it and all that fun stuff. But I think cam girls and guys should be more respected as a whole.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to you guys, so long as like you're willing to put like a willing participant and not like in a dark web.
Oh yeah. But no, like there's definitely all these forms of streaming that happen already. And so it's like, I just kind of wanted to like bring this up and like kind of throw it out there into the podcast and just kind of talk about streaming, like what it encompasses, where it's going. And it's kind of been just like a lot of rambling.
Has it made sense to you guys? Let us know.
Exactly.
Hopefully it has.
I'd like to hear other people's opinions, especially like if they're like listening and you've like watched, say, a lot of streaming, or you make streams yourself, you do any sort of content creation like that. Content. Just what your thoughts are on the future, because the internet's a constantly changing space. And like even streaming 2.5 years ago when I started, it's a completely different monster and animal than it is now.
Yeah.
Both for better and for worse, you know? And so it's kind of like, I'm constantly like curious about what the future holds and kind of like what that next tech is going to be to change things. Because I mean, right now we've still kind of for the longest time been riding the waves of the internet and learning what the internet means as a medium for entertainment. But I feel like we're on the cusp, especially, like I said, and it's the reason I focus so much on this podcast on talking about VR, even though it's strictly not right now related to streaming.
I feel like it's going to be.
I think it's the next step.
But I know this is like long already, but who really cares? Do you want to talk about like now? Because the thing that I think about right now when I think of streaming, more so than like any individual creator, is like right now, maybe not right now, but like in like the next year, I feel like it's going to be a big competition for Twitch and Mixer.
All right. Yeah. I'm definitely down to discuss my thoughts, at least as far as the Twitch, Mixer, all that competition is going.
Because I know that there's more than just Twitch and Mixer, but I feel like Mixer is the only actual entity that has the backing to be a competitor to Twitch because it's owned by Microsoft. Like, Microsoft quite clearly has the money to buy out Ninja and Shroud, and I'm sure that they're going to make bigger moves going forward. They've already made huge moves.
They are making these huge moves with these power grabs, but honestly, like, if you look at the metrics of it, it really hasn't shifted that much viewership. And it's honestly kind of surprising how little of an effect it's had. But a lot of people, I mean, it's kind of, I know a lot of creators kind of make fun of their own viewers for this regard, but a lot of people say, I can't believe you're leaving Twitch to go to Mixer. Like, I can't watch you anymore. And it's literally like, you could just fucking save a bookmark.
Yeah.
Right. It's an extra click, you know, it's the same website. But granted, I will say I did like check out Mixer.
What do you think of Mixer?
Their UI is a long way to come. And it's up until now, you could definitely tell Mixer.
As a dumb person who doesn't know about streaming, what is UI?
User interface.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so just like the basics of like how to navigate your websites and just the small like quality of life things that you don't even think about. It's supposed to be to allow things to be easy to understand and use. But Mixer has definitely built their brand around Microsoft, aka the Xbox. So a majority of the content there is all coming straight from the Xbox itself, or from people that are porting their Xbox data into a computer and then streaming it out through that. But they're still playing on their Xbox. And so having kind of some of these PC players kind of come over and start doing some stuff like that. I mean, it's going to start shifting a little bit more of the focus. And I think they're starting to realize that if they focused solely on just Microsoft product, it was kind of...
It's a limiting scope.
It bottlenecks them quite a bit. But I would have agreed with you that Mixer is kind of like the only competition, but I definitely think YouTube's kind of the sleeper that a lot of people have kind of like forgotten about.
Yeah, I've watched like a couple live streams on YouTube.
It's the exact same thing. I mean, it's got its like chat and things like that. I definitely think Twitch by far has the largest live streaming viewership. And then there's also Facebook Live, but I don't see Facebook Live going anywhere. The only way that Facebook Live could like capture something is if they had some weird live streaming tie-in with their Oculus, because they are the makers of the Oculus, which is a VR headset. So maybe if they had weird tie-ins in which they kind of tried to bottleneck that market a little bit, but I'm going to say Facebook's not in the running. That's...
the only thing Facebook really has going for it right now is boomers and the fact that they own other things like Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they kind of have social media, but I don't think they really fully capture and understand live streaming, other than Mark Zuckerberg, grilling some meats with his pals. Smoking some meats.
What?
You don't know about Mark Zuckerberg smoking some meats?
I don't really keep up with Mark Zuckerberg that
smoking
much.
Meats. He's a reptile.
I believe it, yeah.
But I think YouTube actually does have a good main stay in it, and it's kind of got its live viewership, and it's mostly for people that already have like their platform there, because I know it's like some people like maybe like Van Oz, Dathina Nogala, PewDiePie's done some live streaming there. And I know like H3 podcast. I mean, these are like various people that have like tried Twitch, but realized their viewership was already built on this platform. So might as well keep it there. And I think, like I mentioned earlier, the fact that they bought out and brought over Courage, a Twitch streamer, kind of shows that they kind of want to be put into the talking mix as well. And I think YouTube has currently a better shot, honestly, than Mixer. Because Mixer really does have a long ways to go infrastructure wise. Metric wise, Twitch is still like infinitely larger, like not infinitely, but it's insanely larger than Mixer viewership wise. And I just think as a person, I mean, even just going to Mixer, I found it really hard to find streams and kind of like interacting with like chats and just kind of their version of like bits or things like that Twitch do. It wasn't very clean. Like they definitely have some cleanup. Like I think instead of buying all these streamers, they need to first focus on
improving the
website first. Fix the website, make it a lot cleaner, fix all these various problems, and then start working on, changing people's perspectives by bringing talent in.
Yeah, well, like, obviously from somebody who's not really in the industry and is very minimal on the live streaming that they consume, is it really that far off? Because I haven't had a chance to check out Mixer, and I haven't watched Shroud stream since he switched. But, like, I know that a lot of people have a lot of quarrels with Twitch's discoverability as well. And then also I know that some people complain about ads and, like, how they're set up with Twitch. And, like, if you decide to host a smaller creator or host somebody, like, all of your viewers or most of them who don't have whatever the fuck, they automatically get a 30-second, like, ad where they don't get to see the content right away.
Yeah, so I mean, ever since Amazon bought out, there was a golden period of nothing really changing besides getting Twitch Prime, and that was beautiful, and that was a beautiful period of time. But then a couple of months ago, I mean, like 8 months ago, so it definitely started, like, pre-rolls, or what they're called, when you click onto a stream. And so the big incentive up until now has been, unless you are subscribed to a streamer, you're going to see the pre-roll. If you subscribe, then you don't have to see the pre-roll. But I mean, if a streamer can still, like, run advertisements on their channel to non-subs or to subs as well. I mean, that's kind of up to creator discretion. But I mean, Twitch is starting to implement some newer features in which, like, say if an advertisement starts to roll, there's a new feature called picture-in-picture, in which the advertisement will take up the main majority of the page, but you will still be able to see the streamer and some of their content in a smaller window off to the side. So you're not completely missing out on what is happening.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
I still think it's still going to cut your audio to the advertisement. So that kind of sucks. That, like, say you come over and you're wanting to, like, say hello, and they're trying to, like, say hello back. And there's just, it's messy. I mean, for the most part, I mean, Twitch has a lot of, like, annoyances to deal with right now that are things like that. But they're honestly still just, like, such a really clean, really good website. And I mean, once you get past the advertisement, I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
And they are starting to make some progress on it, but I think that's why it's like, I don't want to, like, discredit, like, YouTube and Mixer. And if anything, I'm very much so on the horse of, I want them to get a lot better, because in any sort of field, competition is good. It makes more positive changes when you have kind of that competition in that mainstay. Because up until now, it's been Twitch. Yeah. Some people tried some YouTube for a little bit of time. Some people tried a little bit of Mixer here and there. But Twitch is the streaming platform currently. Yeah. And it's still that way. And it's going to be that way for a while. And I know initially Mixer has actually been buying out some contracts for a little while now, because one of the last, like, how I started streaming was I started as a Smite streamer, Smite Battleground of the Gods, which is a MOBA, third person. That's where my content started, and that's what I was doing. I did a lot of streaming around that time. But right towards the tail end of me playing that game, and one of the last events I attended for it, as a viewer, they announced that they were moving to Mixer. All of their official esports casting and stuff like that. And esports, I guess I completely forgot to talk about esports, but I kind of want an entire episode strictly on esports, because I feel like it's such a huge part of streaming. But by the way, I mean, esports is huge for streaming. That's kind of what got streaming as in the face, I think, as it is. But throwing that out there, Smite moved all of their esports and all their official content into Mixer. And you could kind of recently, I guess, still watch some of the games and stuff on Twitch, but there was, like, no chatters there. It's pretty much all the viewer base moved into Mixer. And that's kind of because the game itself is kind of designed to be a console MOBA. I mean, that's where I started playing. I started playing on PS4 when it came out on that. But a majority, I think, of the players now are, like, on that console basis. All the PC players have moved on to go do other things with their life, and a lot of people that play in console, they're like, hey, we still like that. I mean, this is the only game. I mean, Paragon tried coming out on PS4, and that was a huge fucking failure. I mean, they had some good pieces, but it just never took off. So it kind of fills that void. But bringing back into the Mixer side of things, they did get bought out by Mixer. So it's like, that was for the longest time, that was the biggest thing Mixer had, I think, was Smite. Because constantly it would just be like, Smitecast comes on, there's like 15,000 people watching that, and,
chilling.
They're chilling, yeah. And honestly, actually, by the time that this podcast comes out, I think they will be finishing up with their world championship of the series, because it is happening currently right now as we record on Saturday of the 9th. So, I mean, fun fact. But I think I hear...
The more you know.
I think I heard I don't know if it was a real... I don't know how the truth is to this, but I mean, I still kind of keep like small, grasps on what's going on in that community. And I believe that their Mixer contract is actually out after this season, and it's not getting renewed.
Oh, damn.
So all that esport money that they were using is now currently...
Spicy.
It's currently kind of going away. So we'll have to see what goes on with there as Mixer's trying to move more into individual creator content. But I definitely found that like interesting to have a company actually buy out an actual like gaming developers esport program. I think that's actually a smarter move than buying individual creators.
I think I would agree. Yeah.
Because
Seems like a smarter move.
It's like, even if you just want to watch, like, it's in their game too. Like, a lot of stuff is integrated into these games. Like, currently most games have a lot of Twitch Prime benefits. So if you have Amazon Prime, that gives you Twitch Prime. And then if you have Twitch Prime, that means that you get like free in-game like cosmetic every like month or something. And it's like a new little charm or a new skin but it shows that there is a tie-in that Twitch currently has with these developers.
Yeah.
And it's never like stated like outright like, hey, Twitch is working with these people. It's just like, hey, guess what? Twitch Prime benefit, it's for this game. You could get free currency. You should try it out. Twitch,
Yeah.
And Mixer kind of like, they had Smite. Like that's it. Like they have Smite. There it is. And it's like, if you play Smite, cool. But I mean, a lot of people have played Smite. But they played it, 5 years ago when it was actually a good game.
You're just shooting all the shots today, man.
Hey, it's hot takes.
Coming for blood.
It's hot takes. But I think if Mixer or YouTube like moves more in kind of that direction and working more hands-on with developers themselves, I think there could be more benefit for them as a streaming platform. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I mean, the people who get to decide what is going to take off and what's not, it's ultimately the consumer. And you just, as a streaming platform, you need to just facilitate. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a job of who facilitates the best. And a lot of people that aren't even getting these buyout contracts from Mixer are moving to Mixer because they want to hopefully scale up with it, is kind of like the idea. And I think that's kind of it's an idea that it's good for some and it's bad for others.
Risking it for the biscuit.
Yeah, because some people, I mean, if they're like sitting at 2 viewers, they're like, oh, maybe I'll scale up and get, partnered on Mixer. But I mean, it doesn't really quite work that way. It's still...
Yeah. Or if you do have an established audience and you do move to Mixer, you have the risk of losing what you already got established, or at least I
mean, that's kind of the biggest segment of any sort of streaming, is it's you develop viewership elsewhere.
Yeah.
And then bring them in to watch the live stream. And I mean, that's why I think it's really cool. And shout outs to a really cool live streamer is Brandon Yuri. He streams all the time on Twitch.
I've watched his streams.
He plays a ton of Fortnite and hangs out with fans. And I think it's just cool to see like legitimate, like someone from, say, the music industry. For the longest time, they've kind of been like this unattainable. A lot of people put them like on platforms of like they're unreachable. You can't talk to them. They're not real people.
Yeah.
They're more of an icon than an actual person there. And so seeing kind of this integration of classic media into the new streaming platform, it's really neat. It's really cool. And I think a lot of people should actually start utilizing it more. Also, shout outs to Matthew Heafy from Trivium. He does a shit ton of live streaming in which he's live streamed Trivium concerts. He's live streamed just playing guitar. He's streamed gameplay of like Fortnite and Outlast, things like that. So they're not the only ones, but they're kind of like the bigger few that are like established artists and are doing this other. Also, fucking shout out to Deadmau5. He's huge onto it. Post Malone's done it before, but I think he kind of stays away from the internet nowadays.
Or Posty.
What a good lad. But I think it's a good idea because, I mean, honestly, it's like, too, like, shout out, actually, like, going back to Post Malone real quick. That's a quick tangent, but...
Side quest.
For like a year before I ever encountered any of Post Malone's music. I like constantly heard the name, but I never
you told me about
this.
It's
like I don't listen to rap music, all that kind of stuff. And when I figured out that this person, because I constantly would hear their name, but then I'd hear that they're a rapper, and I was like, I don't really care.
No, man.
But I was streaming PUBG one day, and then, you know, I finished up my stream. I was the one trying to figure out who else was in the PUBG tag, and towards the top was a user named Post Malone. I was like, no way, is this the Post Malone? So I went and hung out. And
is that guy? Just
hanging out and seeing like how they were as a person. And, you know, there's a lot of times you put on like this is my fan face, you know. You kind of, this is for the people. This is kind of my persona.
I'm so
and there's good and bad to that.
Friendly. Everything's great all the time.
But honestly, when you stream, it's harder to do that.
Yeah.
And people are able to actually call it out pretty quickly if you are really fake with your persona, because honestly, like you were there for so much time, so much of the day. And it's like, some people can do it for sure. But I mean, it's like, it's so much different than like keeping. That's why a lot of YouTubers, when they try to live stream, a lot of them actually fail at it, and they actually stop doing it because, I mean, hey guys, this is my YouTube channel, and boom, this time we're gonna be doing it. You can't do that for 10 hours, 6 days a week.
Ask for that, Brandon.
I'm sorry, but you can't keep that energy. So there's a lot more just like, you gotta stay a little cooler headed and just level, and you can have big hype moments, but you can't try to do that all the time. And kind of a lot of people coming from that classic media, they try to do that a lot when they
or
try
like
to
just
stream.
the fact that some people on YouTube are like entirely totally fake. I don't know who the user or
I'm sure there's
YouTuber
plenty of shots you could fire at plenty of people.
No, I'm thinking of that one bitch that where she accidentally uploaded footage of her dog, or like of her like abusing her dog, which quote unquote
Brooke something.
She doesn't treat her dog like that. She was just frustrated, and she didn't spit on her dog, and she would never do anything like that, which I'm calling bullshit on you, bitch.
Of course.
But like there are people where what they intend to put out and what they actually are is completely different. And,
exactly. And it's like I said, I mean, after enough time passes and you're doing so much stuff, I mean, it starts to come through. Like the true colors really shine with streaming. And that's like the other thing that's kind of like interesting with streaming is that it's not edited. It's not filtered. I mean, you have to be just there, present, and unedited.
Also, I don't know why I'm focusing on trash people, but I don't remember his username. But I know that there was one streamer, I want to say he was in the UK, where he literally
beat his wife.
On stream.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck,
See,
dude?
and there's stuff like that gets caught. And so, I mean, it's like, that's why you have like, sometimes things like that, like that's kind of honestly been the biggest fire that Twitch was under for a while, is people in the past months have been getting really upset with moderation from Twitch themselves, as far as like who gets banned and who doesn't, and for how long and for what reason.
Oh, I also...
Because there's been people like Alinity is a name that gets thrown around a lot for like, you know, throwing her cat, throwing vodka in its mouth, and then people that have like, you know, nudity slip ups, or, you know, maybe they thought the stream was off and they jerk it on camera, things like that. It's like small things, but everyone seems like, even if there's like these similar scenarios, everyone seems to get treated differently. And so people just want more standardized, hey, if I break this rule, doesn't matter who I am, what's going to happen, you know?
Well, I mean, I think you can talk about that about any like major video platform, at least. Like, I know YouTube has that bullshit too.
Yeah, and I guess something, I mean, it's not really streaming related. It's semi-streaming related. But recently, someone, I think it was on FaZe, a streamer who plays a lot of Fortnite, or they're like a professional Fortnite player, they got caught by Fortnite for using hacks. They were cheating in the game, and so Epic Games permanently suspended them. And there's been a lot of like side and side on if that was right to do permanent suspension. And I know Ninja has stated before that. I
mean, I feel like it's right, because like they're monetizing that. They're getting money off of it.
But also, that's the counter argument as well by Ninja, is when someone's making their entire livelihood, having them like take it away kind of like that, he finds it unfair. But I don't know. I mean, you kind of get what's coming to you. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're doing shitty things, you kind of, that's my hot take. You kind of deserve to have it taken away. Like, just don't be shitty. Yeah. Don't be shitty and you'll never have a problem.
Yeah.
So,
like, you know, not saying I got a stream coming anytime soon, but like, obviously, you know, like I'm not huge on video games, but like I do enjoy my fucking indie horror games and I like World of Warcraft and Zelda and stuff like that. But like, I'm not by any means good at video games, but like if I were to stream, I would just do what the fuck I do and like have people roast me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean
that's like the platform. And I mean, that's kind of, it comes with the cult of it. That's kind of what sets apart. Like I made the statement at the beginning of the video, even though it might have not have been as well stated, but that's kind of the difference between like YouTube and like Twitch in a way. And like in YouTube, it's how you cultivate your video content. And on like a live streaming platform, it's more on how you cultivate your audience, your community, because you get to choose as well. I mean, you do have a say in who watches you. If someone's being shitty and you don't want to raise like a toxic community, you or your moderator team takes care of it and you ban them or something like that. Yeah. Or you talk to them personally, send them messages, things like that. Just let them know like, hey, this isn't what we're about. You're either going to change your attitude or you're out of here. And I mean, of course, people can make infinite accounts and there's trolls out there. I mean, there's some people that just like, they get off on fucking making people's life hell on the internet. I mean,
I don't get it.
I mean, me neither. But that's just, I mean, there's weird people out there and it is its own thing. But I mean, that is also a piece of your community, and they represent you just as much as you represent you. So there is kind of that weight to your viewership. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to be really like present-minded about it. I think I've rambled enough about streaming, though.
I mean, we've definitely talked for quite a little bit of time.
I've got a lot of thoughts, and I feel like I don't really have them all out there, and they're hard to organize sometimes because there's so many different things to talk about. But I definitely did want to like put out an episode in which I kind of just like address streaming and talk about it a little bit, because there's a lot going on right now. And like you said, especially with like Mixer and YouTube kind of suddenly coming into the forefront, it's kind of it's different. And like I said, I mean, it's definitely like when I started like 3 years ago,
it was Twitch.
Well, it was Twitch, but it was also, I could talk about streaming video games and no one would know what the fuck I'm talking about. I could say Twitch, no one's ever heard of it. Like you could say Ninja, you could say all these different people. If you said that to like any like fucking normie out there in the world, some boomer, no one's heard of it. I'm throwing all those terms out there.
Oh God.
But now, I mean, you've got people like Ninja, Ammunition going on CNBC talking, and you've had like Drake and Marshmello and all these different people coming forward and like, you know, either being involved in a Twitch stream or streaming themselves. And so it's suddenly now you could say the name Ninja and some soccer mom knows who it is because her kid watches Ninja, you know? So I mean, it's like everyone suddenly knows what Twitch is. Yeah. Everyone knows what streaming loosely is. And so it's kind of interesting to kind of be a part of that sudden boom in a new medium.
Yeah, for sure. And then like he said earlier, like if you guys either stream yourself or watch a lot of streams or anything like that and you guys got some hot takes, let us know.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you're watching on YouTube, like come into the comment section, definitely leave us some comments on what some of your thoughts on streaming in the future is. If you're on the podcast, I don't know the best way to reach out. Maybe like just shoot us a
reviews wherever you listen on, or
watch a review, tweet at us. We have our Twitter. I live stream all the time at Rainy Wolves, so come to my chat room, just give me some of your thoughts. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can stay connected and communicate about this. So I'd love to hear people's thoughts on what they think streaming is like moving towards and what's going to happen with it.
All right, well, for sure, we'll see you guys next week.
Definitely. Thanks guys for watching.